Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. So today, I have deleted my first video here on the channel. It was my previous Occult Brawler guide. Now, let me be honest with you guys. I've been playing this game for 4 months and I've learned so much through talking to top players, through watching other YouTube channels and streams, and reading Reddit and other websites about this game. And with some of my very early guides, including Occult Brawler, I feel like none of the information was awful in terms of the guide, but I really missed a lot of his strong points, and I didn't really have him geared up properly for Clan Boss where he shines. So I wanted to delete that video. I think there's probably one other guide out there that I'm going to review all of my champion guides, and if I don't stand by every piece of that information, I will be deleting them as well, because, as it happens, when you're YouTubing a game like this, especially when you've only been playing for a few months, you look back at some of your old content and you say, I could have done better there, so I don't want to make a habit of having these guides just there for evergreen content when I don't stand by them 100%. So I apologize for the big kind of preamble here, but I just wanted to let you know why I'm doing another Occult Brawler guide. So here he is, Occult Brawler from the Ogren tribes. I have my Occult Brawler built out for Clan Boss in Ultra Nightmare. So I'm going to talk about why and what makes him for Ultra Nightmare instead of like Nightmare, and we'll talk about his differences depending on which level of Clan Boss you guys are going for with your Occult Brawler. Now, no matter how you look at it, Occult Brawler, a Spirit Affinity Epic Champion, is one of the best poisoners inside the entire game. As a matter of fact, on Clan Boss, he outdamages every single epic inside the game, poison or not. And when you compare him to the best poisoners, in my first Occult Brawler, I said this too, and a lot of people were like, nah, he's not better than, than Dracomorph or than Nethril for poisoning. He's not a better champion overall. He's not even close to as good as those other champions are. But in terms of sheer poison damage, and that's all you're using Occult Brawler for, he can put out more damage. He can put out more damage on Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare by about 5% than my Nethril can, both on auto and off auto attack. So, of course, things do change depending on the comp that you have them with, and I also run Bad L, so I get that extra poison damage off my other attackers too. But Occult Brawler is just a beast. If you've unlocked him, congratulations, because he's incredibly good. Definitely a champion worth upgrading, especially for Clan Boss, but he's good in a variety of different dungeons as well. We'll talk about that in today's guide. So let's take a look at his kit before we get into his stats. He only has two non-passive abilities here. So his A1 is really where it all is, in the Sorceress Razor. So the Sorceress Razor has a 50%, can be booked up to 60%. Books are not mandatory for your Occult Brawler, but of course they help. But can be booked up to a 60% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. That's really, really solid. This guy throws down so many poisons on Clan Boss, mostly because of his passive. But the 5% poison, of course, you guys know there's 2 poisons in the game, a 2.5% and a 5%. He has the strong version, which is what you're looking for, okay? Especially because it takes up one of those 10 debuff spots on the Clan Boss. So you want to make sure you're using the 5% poison if you can to make sure you're maximizing your damage for each of those 10 debuff slots on the Clan Boss. His next one is Curse Eater, his A2. This is a long ability, and let me tell you that really, I spent a lot of time on my first guide really going over this ability and how you should maximize it and all this other stuff. And it can be booked down to 3 turns as well, but for me, this is not the main thing with Occult Brawler. It's nice, it's a good ability, it's a solid ability, but it's really just about stacking as many poisons and keeping him as alive for as long as possible. That's what it's about with Occult Brawler. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. Basically, at the beginning, let's look at his passive first, because that's going to tell you more about his A2. Passive. The beginning of each turn, he'll place a 2.5 poison debuff on himself for 4 turns, okay? And then has a 70% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff on a random enemy for 4 turns. So at the start of each turn, he's going to have a 70% chance of placing another poison on top of his A1 onto the Clan Boss. That's why he's stacking so many poisons. And he also gives himself the smaller version of the poison. So because he's poisoning himself, and because you're probably going to be using him in Clan Boss, and you're probably going to be using him without Bad L, you want to put him in lifesteal gear, right? I don't have him in lifesteal gear because I am running Bad L in my comp. So really important, lifesteal is really, really good on Occult Brawler, but I do not have it on him because I have Bad L in my Ultra Nightmare composition, okay? So let's go back to the A2, Curse Eater. So Curse Eater. If this champion has one or more debuffs, this attack will ignore 30% of enemy defense, right? So he's almost always going to have one or more. On the second ability, the second sub-ability, if this champion is under 2 or more debuffs, his poisons essentially, plus whatever your enemy throws at you, enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived. If this champion is under 3 or more debuffs, the attack is always critical. If this champion is under 4 debuffs, this champion heals by 30% of the damage inflicted, and if this champion is under 5 or more debuffs, grants an extra turn. Now, I've seen a lot of guides on Occult Brawler, and a lot of people make, just like I did, a lot of people make a big deal of this Curse Eater, right? And although it is a really cool ability, it's really few and far between. You have to have kind of a comp around him or go against a really heavy debuffing team to get those 5 debuffs for that extra turn. Other than that, I mean, these abilities, especially if he's in lifesteal, it's really not that important. He's always going to have 1, so he's always going to be ignoring 30% of the enemy's defense. Clan Boss doesn't even have an insane amount of defense. It's all about hit points on Clan Boss. So this Curse Eater isn't even that great of an ability. If you have the room for the debuffs, I'm always going A1. If I'm not on auto against Clan Boss with Occult Brawler. So it's really about his just poison. It's a really simple champion to grasp. You don't worry too much about the Curse Eater. At least I don't advocate you guys do. Unless you can get that extra turn, then that's, you're working there. If you can get 5 debuffs on him consistently and get those extra turns, well, then it can really compound into something special. But that's really challenging to do. It's easier said than done, okay? So let's look at his masteries really quickly. Feel free to screenshot, but you want to go down and get War Master on the offense tree. Getting that War Master proc is definitely good. Methodical as well. I would just go down the left side of the War Master tree. I apologize again. I will have my overlay reworked, but until then, I just try to make sure I show you guys, everything that you can't see by the Space Station Gaming sign on the overlay. And then support, you want to make his accuracy as high as possible. You want to get his speed where it needs to be, depending on where you're speed tuning your composition. We'll talk about that as well. And then accuracy, right? You want to make sure he's landing all of his poisons every single time against the Clan Boss. So go all the way down. Lore of Steel obviously is great on him. Cycle of Magic is okay. And then Sniper is really the chance of extending the debuff from skills or artifacts, so getting those poisons extended. And last but not least, Master Hexer is going to extend the duration, of those debuffs versus the Sniper, which has the chance of placing the debuffs. So I had those in reverse order, but that's really where you want to go down, obviously starting out with a pinpoint accuracy. So you can see that my build here, his overall stats, accuracy at 307, which is perfect for Ultra Nightmare. Really want to aim for around 300 accuracy, but you can get by with less than that. You can probably get by with 220 or so for Ultra Nightmare, and much less for other versions of Clan Boss. Obviously, depending on the difficulty of the Clan Boss that you're targeting, you can aim a lot lower than 307, okay? So his crit damage and crit rate are not that important. His speed is important to get it speed tuned. For Ultra Nightmare, you want the speed to be between 191 and 209. For Nightmare, you want it from 171 to 189 if you're running a counterattack champion. I run Skull Crusher, so he is always in that speed range, so I have him again for Ultra Nightmare here at 193. And the attack, obviously, is a pretty important stat. Defense is really important, though, because it's all about sustainability. I could do a bit better on the defense with my Occult Brawler, but 2,100, you really want to be aiming for, like, Ultra Nightmare for around 2,500. So I could, again, do much better on my defense, but I switched out my gauntlets for defense gauntlets on him because I really don't need that crit rate. I'm not super worried about his crit damage. I found that defense can keep him alive much longer, so I actually prefer the defense gauntlets on him with the accuracy set. Now, his gear is not fully optimized. It's really solid, but I only have one set on him, so a few broken pieces here on my Occult Brawler. But basically, again, I want to get his speed to where I want it to be for my comp, If you don't have a speed-tuned composition, no worries, just have him go as fast as you can, right? Getting speed on him is important, but make sure you have your accuracy and defense up as well. So don't go overboard. It's not like he's, you know, he's not an arena champion here, but of course, have his speed at a high rate or a speed tuned rate, and then go for accuracy and defense, sustainability, hit points as well, right? So you're going to see accuracy as a substat, as a role on almost every piece of gear that I have, even if they're not that great. Like this piece of gear is not that great with the defense and the attack there at the bottom, just the flat stats. Yeah, nothing to write home about, right? But you can see speed and accuracy on almost everything that I have on him here. And look at this chest. Look at the accuracy on this. That is 50 accuracy on this chest piece here with the attack percentage, because attack percentage is pretty solid as well for him as kind of like the fourth priority, right? So again, I'm prioritizing my accuracy, my speed, and of course my defense, hit points, attack, I guess in that order. So this is the gear that I have on him, guys. Again, with a ring, just going for attack percentage, defense percentage as well. I have some crit damage percentage. Could probably definitely upgrade this amulet on him, but I do have some nice accuracy on there as well. And I have an accuracy banner, which is really huge to put on Occult Brawler. So that's his gear that I have for him. Let's go ahead and see his reviews. So Clan Boss 5, and that's the only thing I rated him at, but he's actually really good in dragons as well. I'll give him a 5 there. He can definitely help take down the dragon, especially if you have trouble levels. Not necessarily for his speed comp, but if you're struggling to get a dragon, whatever, dragon 17, dragon 18, if you're struggling to beat that dragon at the highest level that you haven't cleared yet, I would recommend putting Occult Brawler in there. And then in a lot of the dungeons, he's really good too. So again, Ice Golem, I think he's really good in Ice Golem. I would actually rank him a 5, not a 4.5. And then Enforce Keep as well. So I think this pretty much nails it in terms of his utility. I would actually give him a 5 in Void 2, especially, again, not as part of a speed comp, not necessarily the best farmer, but can be a good farmer, depending on who else you have on your team. But he's more of a slower champion and can put out an insane amount of damage. So I'm going to go ahead and do a Clan Boss fight with Occult Brawler right now for you guys. I'll probably go ahead and edit out because it could be a long time. We're going to go ahead and go into... we could finish off Brutal, but we will absolutely destroy. Let's see if we can beat hard 40 million with Occult Brawler. Let's go ahead and build a team around him. Again, I do have him speed tuned for Ultra Nightmare, but I don't have the rest of my team speed tuned to go around with him because I was playing with a bunch of gear and a bunch of stats earlier. But, you know, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do it just for the heck of it at the end of the video. So this is actually a pretty good comp here. Just kind of a side note for you guys. The order that you put your champions in this screen right here actually does matter when you have a counterattack team. So you really want Skull Crusher in this last spot over here, so he goes last on the counterattack, right? So the order by which they counterattack is going to be dictated by these spots. So this is your first spot where Bad L is. The second spot is where Madame Cerise is. And then where Occult Brawler is third. And Turvold up in the top left is fourth. And then Skull Crusher is fifth at the bottom there. So that's important when you have a counterattack comp, because where they are in this screen will suit what order they go in when they're executing their counterattack, okay? So let's go ahead and jump in here. This is a pretty good team. I think we'll be okay as long as Bad L can keep everybody alive here. I didn't even check the... actually, the Affinity is a good match here for Occult Brawler. So we'll see how we do. So you're going to see here, I have it on auto right now, but again, if I want to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and start out with just a weekend on him. But if I want to, what was I saying? Yeah, if I want to maximize damage, I would just keep spamming A1 on the Occult Brawler, but I don't want to do that. I want to see if we can take him down here. So we're just going to kind of let things go. He hits decently hard with his A2 as well. Of course, it does ignore 30% defense. Again, we talked about this. Not an insane amount of defense on the Clan Boss anyway. So, you know, those champions who think, oh my god, they ignore all defense, they're going to be insane against Clan Boss. They're not as good as you'd think they would be. It's really Arena where those champions shine. That being said, you know, he's not really an Arena champion, Occult Brawler. So here we're just kind of, but look at the poisons already stacking up. Remember, every single turn, has a 70% chance of placing those poisons with his passive. Now, the only issue with this comp is, with Bad L and Occult Brawler, and the weaken from my Turvold, and the heal reduction from my Skull Crusher, and the defense attack and the defense down and the attack down from my Cerise, man, there's too many debuffs on this team. You're going to see here that I'm at 10 debuffs almost the entire battle. So I have a feeling we're going to be able to take him down with ease here. 40 million damage should be pretty easy. And I would venture a guess that my Occult Brawler will do... it's going to be between him and Turvold. As you can see, Turvold's hitting hard here. 250, 270 crits. Insane damage. So I'm not sure who's going to get more damage, but I can tell you one thing, that the Occult Brawler will live longer than Turvold, assuming either of them die inside this match. So there's the Curse Eater. Where did it go? 30k. So not as high. If you have his crit rate and his crit damage up and his attack up higher, you can get that to crit for like 60, 70k on the Curse Eater. But, I don't think that's that big of a difference when we're really talking about getting those poisons landed every time. That's why I personally prioritize accuracy and defense to keep him alive longer to get those poisons off. So anyway, guys, you've seen enough of the gameplay here. I'll come back at you guys when this clan boss battle is wrapping up. Then we'll do a quick Ultra Nightmare. Alright guys, so I stood very corrected there. I did not kill the Demon Lord, but check it out. Occult Brawler was the damage winner there at 12.3 million damage. So not too bad. Just ended up losing him in Turvold. Well, I lost the whole group there. Only 8 minutes, so could definitely kind of fine-tune this comp a little bit better. One thing I did want to note there that kind of struck me through watching that was that pairing Occult Brawler and a Bad L is a little bit dangerous, because Bad L is cleansing all of those poisons. Or it's either dangerous or really good, depending on how you look at it. Me, I don't care so much about the Curse Eater, but a lot of people might look at that and be like, well, Bad L is taking away those poisons that Occult Brawler is putting on himself. I look at that as a win, because again, I am not really looking for the Curse Eater to be a big money move. I'm certainly never getting to him to 5 debuffs. So let's go ahead and go on to Ultra Nightmare here. Again, I don't have a speed comp ready, but let's go ahead and just see how much damage he can do in this team here. And yeah, we'll see what he can do here against Ultra Nightmare. Again, it's going to be the same thing, so I'll come back at you guys when this match is over. Alright guys, well that was awful. Shows you not to go into Ultra Nightmare without with a counterattack team, without a speed tune team as well. But either way, you can see he still put out the most damage at 4.6 over Turvold at 4.1. So just kind of showing you what the Occult Brawler can do, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and apologies for kind of re-uploading the same type of content on the same champion. But I hope you guys can appreciate where I was coming from in terms of specific ways that you guys can use a champion. I felt like the last guy was just a little bit off, and yeah, just wanted to update it. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and as always, take care, guys.